Ashlea the Orange Lady, and I'm here to give you the juice you need to build and sustain your career. I have 20 plus years of experience in the tech, nonprofit, and public sectors. We're going to take all that experience and use it so that you can make great career decisions that help you make more money so that you can actually spend more time doing the things that you love. I'm a first generation professional, and so I want to make sure and hold the door open and give you the info you need. Okay, cheers. Drinking water today. Again, welcome. If you...
I'm not sure I understand.
Siri doesn't understand my outfit, I think is what she's saying. And I want to explain it. If you're listening to this and not watching it on YouTube, then there's something very important to understand. Today I have on my dino shirt. That's short for dinosaur. And there are little like brontosaurs. I'm sure there's like some child that's probably like, that's not a brontosaurus, that's not a T-Rex. But there's little dinosaurs all over my shirt because I'm a part of a group called the Dinos. That is a part of the story time we will get to. But first, the topic, the actual topic. I'm going to talk about how you can pivot from one role to a new career, a new type of role, being able to take your experience and change it into something new. I do have a little bit of experience with this. I went from the nonprofit sector, doing more direct services, to then leadership as a director. Then I moved into tech, doing community engagement. Then moved into the public sector, working on a project with Jeremy Collins, shout out, for the governor of North Carolina. Now back in tech. So yeah, I've done this a lot. And the biggest thing that I can tell you to do is to understand your top skills. Because guess what? Those skills are not stuck with you in one role or the next. They continue to evolve and grow with you. Your success is not tied to one job. One of my first executive directors, Ralph Capps, would always say, the job belongs to me, but the career belongs to you. And implied was like, so act like it, right? Like make moves for your career, but understand the job is mine. AKA, you'll be replaced in 2 seconds if you leave, no problem. Don't think you own it. You own the decisions that help you further your career, though. So you are thinking about trying something else, but you feel like it is too hard to make that jump. Shout out to my nonprofit folks. If you've worked or work currently in a nonprofit or you're an educator, shout out to teachers. There is nothing that you cannot do. There is nothing impossible. You have done things on a shoestring budget with way too many people that you have to like rally and way too short of a deadline, no doubt. So when you're talking about doing something, say moving into the corporate sector, and they're like, oh, how can you handle this fast pace? Be like, excuse me? How do you handle 25 first graders that all need your attention, but also all need to learn the standards of learning because they're going to be tested and then everything is based on that? Think you could handle that pressure? I don't know. Okay. So once you are ready to do this, I think the best thing to do is pull up your resume, right? I actually suggest printing it, old school style, grabbing a pen or marker, something pretty, and start to circle the things that you see making themes, right? Like if efficiency is something that you talk about a lot, if like what are some of the like outcomes you are always consistently hitting? What are the wins that you see? And then you can categorize them, right? Find those themes. What are you good at? Because guess what? Most jobs need people that are good at X, Y, and Z, right? So you just have to be able to talk about it in a language that matters to the hiring person. I don't want to go too deep into that. I just want to say, hey, with all these layoffs or with people just kind of, you're a few years into your role maybe and you're picking your head up and you're going, what's next? I don't want you to be scared to say, that's too far to jump. There's no way I can make that. You absolutely can. It may take you working with a mentor or a coach to be able to really be able to distill it so that when you're in an interview, you can give your star stories. We should talk about that sometime. Star stories, basically the R, that's an acronym, and the R is the most important part because it means you're always sharing your results so that an employer, future employer, can see what you produce. It's the difference between telling you what I did and like saying, oh, I am a great program manager, and then showing you that I'm a great program manager by showing you the results from my programs and projects that I led. That's the difference. Okay, so we're not going to be scared. Now, I want to tell you why I'm in a dino shirt today, because let me tell you about a time that I was scared because I was moving roles. I was 6 months into my role at Google. I had kicked ass. I was feeling so confident. I was working with such a dear friend of mine that was my boss, but it felt like making magic together, right? And then I found out that my role was going to go from kind of a role across the country to focused on launching a learning center in New York City. So very hyper local focused. And it also meant that I was going to get a new boss. Well, I happened to be sitting right next to my new boss. Shout out, Aisha, love you. When she delivered this information to me, our desks were already right next to each other. And what is like the worst reaction you can imagine when someone says, hey, we're actually going to move you to this new role. You're going to work with me. We're going to launch the Learning Center together. Just take a second and think about what's the worst thing that you could do in front of your new boss. Yep, that's probably it. I did it. I started bawling. I started crying. There was nothing in the world that could stop these tears. And I am like looking over and Aisha's looking at me like, oh my God, like, this is terrible. Like, that is the worst reaction you can give your new boss. Like, we are dear friends now and have laughed about this many times over. But what was going through her head was, oh shit, does Ashlea not like me? Does she think I'm a terrible boss? Does she not want to work with me? Like, does she not want to do this work? Like, what is it? This is terrible. And what I had to sit with and reflect was why. Those tears were not because I was mad or upset. They were because I was scared to death. I was scared to death that my success at Google had been tied to working so closely with Tia. And that if I didn't have her, if we weren't like a dynamic duo, what if I wasn't able to find success in this new program that I was supposed to be doing, right? What if there just wasn't that same magic there? And I went back to Aisha and I told her that. I said, I'm scared, okay? I think I've been really successful. I understand this work really well. This is something new. We don't know each other as well. I had known Tia for 15 years, so we knew how each other worked. Fast forward, maybe I should say rewind to the beginning of the podcast when I told you, no matter what your skills or experience or expertise is, it comes with you everywhere you go. It doesn't stay in a job. It doesn't live there. It travels with you. And that was, in that moment, what I had to remember and tell myself and be honest about, that I had the skills, the expertise, and the ability to take on this new role, to take on this new work, to work with and gain a new boss that was amazing. And that it was not just tied to this job or this one relationship I had with my boss. It was me, right? I was part of the magic. I was part of the equation, right? I wasn't the full equation, but I was a part of it. And so I wore my dino shirt today because, well, Tia, Aisha, Sonal, we know we're the dinos. That's another story for another podcast. Let me know if you're interested in learning why we are the dinos. Important part of that is we all get scared. It's okay to make those changes. Remember, you have the skills you need. They don't disappear magically. They magically come with you. They travel along and they probably even get better. Okay, I'm Ashlea Hitchcock Francis. This is the Squeeze podcast. Now you've got the juice. It's time to put it to use. Talk next week. Bye.